Right now, somewhere in a hospital, a baby is being born. And in that exact moment, before anyone in that room says a word, before the first cry, before the first breath, that baby already knows its mother's voice. Not because someone taught it, not because of instinct, because it remembers her. It has been listening to her for months. And the story of what that baby is recording right now, what it will carry, and why it will never be able to find it again, is one of the strangest things science has ever discovered about the human brain. Before the birth, before any of this, there is the womb. For 9 months, you exist in total darkness, warm, weightless, floating. The only sound you know is a heartbeat and a voice, low, muffled, filtered through skin and water, that has been with you since before your ears were fully formed. Temperature never changes. Nothing is loud, nothing is sharp, nothing is cold. By 34 weeks, your brain already responds differently to that voice than to any other sound on Earth. You know her pitch, her rhythm, her patterns. You have been memorizing her for months without knowing what memory is. This is where the story starts, not at birth, before it. And then, in minutes, every condition you have ever known reverses at once. Blinding light hits eyes that have never seen light. Cold air wraps around skin that has only ever known warm fluid. Gravity, which you have never felt once in your entire existence, yanks you downward for the first time. Sounds that were always muffled arrive raw and unfiltered from every direction, all at once. The psychologist William James described a newborn's experience of the world as a blooming, buzzing confusion. But here is what James didn't know, what nobody knew for most of the 20th century. In the middle of all that chaos, all that overwhelming sensation, all that noise and cold and light, the brain is not shutting down, it is recording everything. For most of the 20th century, the official position was simple. Babies cannot form real memories. The hippocampus, the region of the brain responsible for storing experiences, isn't developed enough in infancy. Nothing gets recorded, nothing gets saved. The newborn brain, scientists said, was essentially a blank slate, and then they acted on it. Before the 1980s, surgeons operated on newborns without anesthesia, not occasionally, routinely. Open heart surgeries, bowel resections, major procedures on conscious, fully feeling infants, performed without a single drop of pain relief. Not because the surgeons were monsters, because the entire medical establishment, every textbook, every professor, every hospital protocol, was built on the certainty that babies don't retain memories of pain. So why risk the medication? Those babies felt everything. They screamed, their heart rate spiked, their bodies flooded with stress hormones. And for decades, the medical world looked at that and concluded, they won't remember. It doesn't matter. We now know it mattered enormously. And we know it because of what happened when scientists finally looked at what the brain was actually doing. In the early 1980s, a researcher named Carolyn Rovey Collier tied a ribbon from a baby's ankle to a mobile above a crib. When the baby kicked, the mobile moved. Within minutes, 2-month-old infants had figured it out and were kicking on purpose. She came back days later. Same baby, same mobile. The baby started kicking immediately. A 2-month-old had formed a memory and kept it. Babies were not blank slates. They were already remembering. Then in March 2025, researchers at Yale University went further. They placed babies as young as 4 months into fMRI scanners and measured what the hippocampus did while they looked at images. It was doing exactly what an adult hippocampus does: encoding, storing, remembering. Professor Nick Turk-Brown, the study's senior author, stated the conclusion plainly. Infantile amnesia, the reason none of us remember being born, is not a storage failure. It is a retrieval failure. The memories were made. The files exist. You just no longer have the key to open them. Think about what that means. Somewhere inside the brain you are using right now, there are stored memories from the first days of your life. The face of the first person who held you, the temperature of the first room you were ever in, the shock of cold air on your skin for the very first time. All of it, recorded, locked away, intact. In 2023, scientists at the University of Toronto proved this in mice. They took early memories that had been completely inaccessible since infancy, and using pulses of light to stimulate the exact neural pathways connected to those experiences, they retrieved them. The memories hadn't been erased. They had just been buried. There is an entire chapter of your life you lived fully, felt completely, and cannot reach anymore. So why does the key disappear? Three things happen at once, and they compound each other. The hippocampus keeps developing throughout childhood. Every time it matures and rewires, the pathways leading back to earlier stored memories become harder to reach. The hardware upgrades itself and loses the old filing system in the process. Then there is language. Memories that survive into adulthood are almost always ones we wrapped in words. Stories we told ourselves about what happened. Babies have no language. They cannot narrate birth. So the memory of it has nothing to hold on to. And then there is context. We retrieve memories through cues, smells, sounds, places that match the original moment. The womb no longer exists anywhere in the world. There is no cue left to trigger it. The memory has no door left to walk through. So here is where we land. That baby being born right now, it came out of 9 months of darkness, already knowing one voice. Its brain survived the cold, the light, the noise, the shock of gravity, and recorded all of it. Then it grew, and as it grew, the pathways back to those first recordings slowly became unreachable. Every person alive right now is walking around with an entire hidden chapter of their own life sealed somewhere inside them. The first face they ever saw, the first voice they recognized, the first moment their brain decided the world outside the womb was real. All of it stored, none of it reachable. We think memory is the story of who we are, but the very first chapter, that chapter was written. It just wasn't written in a language we ever learned to read. Now think about your own earliest memory, the one you believe is first. There is an entire life that came before it. You just can't remember it anymore.